Welcome back to Parents Evening live from RAF Cranwell. Ahead of us 30 minutes once again in session 2, all about what to expect from basic training. Hello, welcome back to Parents Evening live from RAF Cranwell. My name is Harry Benjamin. Thank you if you joined us for our first session, all about how to prepare for the RAF. And that's essentially what we're going to be discussing throughout this session and the next session. Although in this one, we're going to be looking about what to expect from basic training. And I've got two very qualified people alongside me to talk all about it. Joining me is Flight Sergeant Adam Cooper and Sergeant Jasmine Dixon. Thank you so much for taking the time out firstly to join me. Adam, I'll come to you first. Before we get into the nitty-gritty about basic training, if you just give us a bit of an idea about your journey so far with the RAF and what you do.
Okay, yeah, I joined in February 1998 as RAF Police. I did that for a little while before moving to aircrew. And then I went and was a weapon system operator, loadmaster on Puma for a little while. Then moved to search and rescue. So I did search and rescue for a few years before changing once again to join the ISTAR Force with Reaper for the last 5-6 years, and then recently moved to 45 Squadron, which is where I find myself now, which is instructing Phase 2 trainees to be the future of our weapon systems operators on a number of platforms.
Wow, so I've been over 25 years and clearly a wide variety involved in doing. We'll come back and dive a little bit more into that. Jazz, if I come to you as well, a bit about you and your role.
So I joined up in 2016 as same as an RAF copper.
Both coppers?
Yeah, but I was a dog handler. So I was a dog handler for about 5 years. Did a couple of years in the UK, and then I was based out at RAF Akrotiri for a couple of years. As the sole drugs handler out there, and then I came back from the Falklands and decided I wanted to become a weapon systems operator, and here I am now going through Phase 2 training, going to be an acoustics operator. Wow,
so actually I'll pick you up on that first of all, because we talk about Phase 1, Phase 2, what does that mean, what's involved, how does that work itself out?
So Phase 1 training is when you first join up, so back in 2016 when I went through at RAF Halton, and you'll do 10 weeks, basically going from a civilian going to military. So you'll do everything from ironing, and then you'll be like out in the field, you'll learn how to do rifle training, basically just to get you in the mindset of joining the military. And then Phase 2, that depends what role you go for. So for example, when I went on to do dog handling, you have to do 6 months at Southwark Park and do all like the police training, and then you do 3 weeks as an actual dog handler. So it's more specialised than the basic training. And then from now, what I'm doing, there's a lot of courses as a weapon systems operator to go through, but the more you go through, the more specialised it gets. So at the moment, I'm on the advanced course.
Did you always have that set in your sights if that's what you wanted the end result to be? Because going from a dog handler to suddenly working weapon systems seems like quite a jump.
Yeah, since I was 18, I've wanted to go weapon systems operator. There's been a few reasons why it's taken longer, but there's called the computer-based aptitude test that you have to do, and I didn't pass those initially, which is why I was like, okay, let's find a new role, become a dog handler, and then came back from the Falklands. I was like, right, time to do it again, and then did it and passed. So yeah,
amazing. Wow. Well, if I come back to you, Adam, as well, because 25 plus years in the RAF, I suppose the term basic training is a bit sort of generic, also a bit daunting as well. What can people expect from basic training? I suppose, what was it like back then when you first started, and how has it changed? I suppose you would have seen that over the years.
Yeah, I mean, you could say it's a bit of a culture shock. I can't say I'm from a military family. The closest I got is an uncle that were a policeman, which were my inspiration for joining the RAF police when I joined up. I had no sort of preconceived ideas of what that would entail. You do watch a lot of films where you get the impression that you get shouted at a lot, and you've got to do lots of ironing and shining shoes and all that kind of thing.
Ironing really comes up a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it's to the phase one style, and when you go through is to convert you from being a civilian into something that is a military product. You know, it teaches you a lot about teamwork, how to rely on each other, and I think that's probably still the same all the way back from when I went through phase one training at Halton back in '98 to when Jazz went through more recently, and the guys that are coming through there now. So it just evolves, and that's what I would say about all the system along. You know, in that last 25 years, it may be different, and I couldn't honestly tell you, Harry, about, because I've not gone back to phase one training in Halton, and I'm sure there is differences, but yeah, it's good. The end product is what we want, is to be a more disciplined person that, you know, can work as a team.
And you've gone obviously from recruit to now instructor. You're the perfect person to give advice, I suppose, on this kind of thing. For somebody about to embark on basic training, what would you say to them to be prepared for what they need to do?
I think is to keep an open mind, be prepared to work hard, be prepared to work hard for each other. And as I said to a lot of the trainees that I see on 45 Squadron, it's, you know, it gives me a unique perspective on going through that training system, as Jazz will. Because it tends to change. So I've sat through various training systems all the way through Halton in phase one, to you know, the Puma OCU, going through Benson, going through.
What exactly is that? What does that involve, the Puma OCU?
So for like Jasmine's path now, when she's finishing this part of training, which trains you to be a weapons system operator, so understanding how an oil system works, understanding, you know, how the environment you're going to find yourself in, weather, and everything else, that's in phase one. And then the OCU, or the Operation Conversion Unit, whether that's going through to a P8, or whether that's a Reaper, or whether that's a helicopter in my OCU on Puma, takes the basic knowledge as a building block, and then you're just putting onto that, you know, before I did the Puma OCU, I had to be a rotary crewman. Which were at Shawbury, which was quite a long course, and then I went through and did the OCU, which is another 6 months, and you're just using them building blocks, as Jazz is finding now, basic training, then phase two training to learn the basic systems, and then you'll go through the end where you'll learn the nuances of the job, and on to phase three, which is when you're producing, you know, when you're working as somebody in a job full time.
All right, and Jazz, you say obviously you're in phase two. You're putting these blocks in place at the moment. How are you finding it? And is there anything that sort of surprised you so far?
Not really surprised me at the moment, because there's been so many different courses that we've had to go through. For example, like ground school, where you learn all about principles of flight and the basics, like you know, lift, drag, and all that kind of stuff. And then it goes on to like survival courses, and now I'm on the advanced phase. So at the moment, it's just, you know, it's just really great at the moment. So I'm enjoying it, and then got flying phase next year, so that'll be good.
That'll be amazing. Now, I imagine because you were in RAF Police as well, the phase that you had to go through there, phase two of that, is that quite similar to what you're going through now, or completely different? Are you able to carry over skills?
It was unusual coming back into training, because obviously when you're out in the in the RAF, it is a lot different. But a lot of it's good to have prior knowledge. Definitely, like I'm happy that I've taken that route, and I've, you know, been in 5 years, and now I'm doing this because I feel just a lot more prepared and relaxed in certain situations that other people might, you know, not be as relaxed. But yeah, it's good at the moment.
Is there a day-to-day for you, or is it different every time?
On the acoustics course, it's split into two. So we've just done the first 7 weeks of the analysis phase, which is learning all about lophrograms and all of the analysis side.
I imagine you sort of sat in a classroom doing this. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a classroom, I mean, now we've moved to another classroom.
Lovely.
For the next phase, but it's more of a practical phase of which we'll then be able to put into practice when we go to the OCU and actually do it for real.
And then Adam, your day-to-day, I imagine, is similar?
Yes, it's very classroom based, and we have sims as well. So I head up what's known as advanced land. So if you're going on to, it tends to be the RAF platforms that have a camera. So we teach people how to operate a camera. So that's split more into the basics and fundamentals of things like the IR spectrum, how cameras work, things about GPS, and all the fundamentals that we operate in a camera and other things on platforms, through to we've got a simulator, and I've got to say, just coming off the front line, it's pretty good, it's pretty cool, and the feedback that I got from the guys that just went through is it's really good, they really enjoy it, and they enjoy trying to put what we've taught them in the academic phase through to a more simulator-based product.
What would you say is the most challenging part of basic training that most people come a bit of a cropper on?
Is this basic training, Harry, or is it throughout anything?
Well, both maybe. Let's go both.
I think the transition, I think if you're talking from being a civilian to coming into a military, so being told what to do constantly, raising your standards, being told what to do on a day-to-day basis, and if you're used to that, it's a very easy transition. The fitness is part and parcel of it, so we expect you to be physically fit, to be good at your job through phase 1, and then what's expected in the second part. What people find hard is just we try, because what I would say for everybody coming through is we've sat in that chair, we know how hard it is, and we're going to progressively make it harder by giving you various things to do. People find other things easy, like talking on a radio. You would think that's really easy, but when you've got a lot of pressure on you, and you're probably nervous about being examined all the time, it becomes more difficult. Added into that, you're learning new terminology for how you see things and express things on a radio to your crew, and to external agencies. It just builds in difficulty, but what we've seen throughout, certainly from a land perspective, is the guys really enjoy it in the end, being able to put together everything they've learned so far into a final handling test with a simulator. So yeah,
amazing. They get, I suppose, the encouragement and the confidence knowing that the people instructing them have also been through that exact same process as you said. Was there anything, if you can think back 25 years, that you found really difficult personally?
Let me see.
How good's the memory?
Yeah. I think fatigue, and I think it's different now. We're a bit more alert to the fact that you're putting young guys through quite a hard system. So the lack of sleep, and back in '98, when you were having to produce like sewing labels on things. I can't say I was particularly good at sewing things, and neither am I now, 25 years on.
I was going to say, what's it like now?
Yeah, so you end up stabbing yourself several times. Some people find it easy, but I was one of the ones that were up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning trying to sew labels on, so that then it would be inspected the next day. You might have to then operate, on 4 or 5 hours sleep to then go at it again the next day. However, that does prepare you for later on, in my time in helicopters, when you had to deliver goods and perhaps you didn't get the best night's sleep, or you had to be sort of fatigue resistant. So yeah.
Can you fail basic training?
Yeah.
You can. Can you come back? Do you get another shot?
I'm not sure, to be honest. It's not like it. Some people think it's very black and white, But what I would say throughout any stage of training that I've seen is the will try and get you through a system. And from a phase 2 perspective, it is. There's some, we have a set, we mark people on a set criteria, and you either can or you can't do it. But what I would say about that, and it's a reflection probably in phase 1 training at Halton and everywhere else, is it's not just a case that you've not made the grade, you're out. It's a case of how do we get, this young person through, and how can we adapt training to do that? But there is a set criteria of you've got to be good enough to do a job.
And Jazz, I suppose going through it now, as we say, it's great to have sort of the two, or not opposites, but one who's done it, one who's going through it at the same time. Is there anything that you'll particularly find difficult or found challenging? Adam mentions the fatigue, the training.
Fatigue is, a big one. I think it just depends what course you do. For example, I did a sea drills course.
What's that?
Very ill.
What does that involve?
It's just survival training in the sea on a life raft. See if you can, do all that. But it was a bad day. It was very choppy. So it just all depends what course you do. But to be honest, I personally think if you've got the right attitude, like from the previous question in regards to failing, as long as you've got the right attitude, pretty much you will be able to succeed it.
Amazing. I think even on the best of days in the sea, that would be a bit of a difficult one to manage.
Bad day.
Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. We're going to come back to you. But now we're going to have a look at one of the many roles that you might well end up doing if you enter the RAF, and one that Jazz is currently training for at the moment, the Weapons System Operator role. Here's a little bit about what is involved.
As an acoustics warfare operator, I'm directly involved with protection of the nuclear deterrent.
We've proven how vital it can be for patrolling the seas, not only around our own nation, but across the globe as well.
I'm Barnsey.
My name is Josh.
And I'm a weapon systems operator within the Royal Air Force. Day to day, it's constant training and preparation, discussing about tactics, how we can do things better, working in synthetic environments to harness our skills so that when we do get airborne, we're able to deliver capable air power.
On the days where you are flying, you do the briefs beforehand, and then you go up flying for about 6 to 8 hours, and then you land and do the debrief. When you are flying, it can be long days, but you're constantly doing stuff throughout that whole day, so it can go quite quickly, especially once you're used to it.
The opportunity of being a weapon system operator is quite varied. We do a lot of electronic intelligence gathering, collections, and you can fly on multiple different platforms. So you can go into helicopters and other fixed-wing assets such as the A400M, for example. So my job role as an acoustic specialist would be to analyze different submarine signatures, and from that information we would then pass that up to our leaders for strategic impact.
We very much work in a team. There's between 8 and 9 crew members at a time when you're flying. We're all talking to each other. It's all mainly first name basis, there's no rank, and we all just work really well together and get the job done.
It's great, it's good fun, you're working with your mates, you're having a good laugh, but you also have professionalism amongst the crew, so everybody's eager to do the job that's asked of them, but also have good camaraderie.
There's loads of opportunities, there's lots to do up here, and the RAF does provide many routes to do adventure training and to do sports as well.
The Royal Air Force has taken me around the world. I've been very fortunate from my time on Nimrods, where we were doing exercises in the Mediterranean. I then went to Australia. From Australia, explored Southeast Asia, Hawaii a few times. Since being on Poseidon, we did our training out in Florida for 6 months, and we've also recently just did our first exercise overseas in Sicily this year. So the opportunity is there to get out and about for sure.
Traits, I'd have to say, you need to be good at multitasking, you need to be good at working in a team, and you also need some leadership qualities as well, because you never know whenever you might have to step up and take control of a situation.
Brilliant there to get a little insight into one of the roles at the RAF Weapons Systems Operator. Now, welcome back to Parents' Evening from RAF Cranwell. We've got a game, another game to play, although this time it doesn't require me standing up and testing my reactions. I'm not playing, well I am playing, but you two are going to be playing the picture description game. Yeah. Now, you've both chosen from my cue card list here a activity or a list from my list. They're all phase 1 activities that would be covered in basic training. So hopefully that helps you out. It might not help me out, but hopefully it helps you out. And, well, draw away and we'll try and guess what they are and maybe have a little chit chat about what they involve as well. So come on then. I think just start drawing. Good luck. Yeah. Right. So there's a bit of a rectangle going on.
Not CPR.
Something medical. Medical.
First aid.
First aid. Oh, that was a record. Right, hang on. Let me check which one was it. I don't want to feel. Yeah, correct. First aid. All right. Is that fairly basic then? Is that one of the first things you might learn? First aid.
No, it's one of the last things
really?
that you learn. Yeah.
Oh. Do you know why, or Just that's the order of
It's in the fieldcraft phase, so the end of it when you're with the regiment.
Okay. What else does that fieldcraft phase involve?
Oh, everything from yes, you've got your first aid. You learn how to obviously fire the rifles. You learn all fieldcraft, and then you'll do the final exercise at the end where you put everything that you've learned together. And then it's all about learning like how to eat like the ration packs, and learn everything like that out in the field.
Amazing. All right. Well, I believe you picked one earlier as well. So now it's your turn. How are your drawing skills? Here we go. Let's take a look at this. Now, we're careful. Remember, you've got to sort of show it to everybody watching if you can. Are you going to run? You got it? Oh, it's up there. There you go. Yeah, I found that confusing at first too. Okay, right. When you're ready, in your own time, Jazz, off you go. Ready. So this is going to be a phase 1 activity from basic training. What on earth is that? Boats? Like a rowing? Oh.
Wow. I mean, you've not given me
like
much to go on there, Jazz.
A plane seems too advanced for phase 1.
Oh, hang on.
Oh.
It's not a SA-80. Is it a rifle?
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Okay. So it's going to be basics of rifle training, shooting.
Rifle training. Let's have a look. It is indeed rifle training. Correct. That is a rifle. So
Or a squashed bunny.
there are clearly no sort of drawing lessons in basic training, are there? No. So rifle training. Talk us through that then. I imagine it's fairly straightforward, but can any?
It is straightforward, but I remember it being quite feared. I'm not sure about you, but
I suppose if you've never held one before, right?
Yeah. Never holding a weapon before, through to it is important, because you're firing live ammunition on a range. So the guys, we get taught by the guys, by RAF regiment guys, who do all our training for weapons, and they make this very serious throughout, and you've got to practice the drills, and there is certain drills that you've got to run through, and they expect you to be proficient and safe with a weapon. So it can be quite intimidating, but they hammer home the fact that this is serious, and they prepare you for it, and they were pretty good, and still are. And this is something that we do every year.
Yeah, I bet. And now we did whisk through that quite quickly. So if you're up for it, do you want to do another one? Absolutely right. I picked one for you, so it's easy. If you do that one on the far left.
Top one.
There, yeah, you got it. Don't look at him. Don't cheat. Right, okay. Right, so we've had rifle training and first aid. So two basics covered in phase 1 of basic training. Right, Jazz. Good luck with this one. I know what it is now, so I'll just tell you if you're right or not. So this is all on you, Adam.
Are you sure that pick the right person from the last drawing, Harry?
Well, I did it because she's already holding it.
Okay, yeah.
Right, in your own time, Jazz. The board is yours for the picture description game.
Just about.
The ink's running dry, to be fair. I don't know if we have a spare pen anywhere. No.
Is there someone laying down?
What? A river bed? No.
Moving forward. Okay.
Are you allowed to talk? Well, actually, for these, you are allowed to talk.
Yeah.
For the cases of what we're doing, yeah, absolutely, please talk.
Oh, is it? It's not like an entrance to a cave, is it?
Oh.
So crawling through a cave, caving?
Got it, caving.
Okay.
Bingo, nice one. Now, I've actually heard caving sounds quite scary. Like, and I'm 6'5". I'm quite big. I imagine, what is this caving like? You've got to go through really tight spaces, or is it quite broad?
You wouldn't catch me for all the...
You wouldn't do it?
No, this wasn't for me. And
do you get the option then, or?
I'm not sure. I mean, you would have to speak to Jazz about phase 1 now, but we do adventure training, so part of it along with the process when you go through different forms of training is you do get opportunities to do adventure training, and in that, I mean, I remember going coast steering down on the south coast, mountain biking, even I think skiing. So that you get lots of opportunities to do adventure training, and caving's one of them. But I would force myself to do it, but I'm like you, and I'm not 6'5", but I would get very nervous.
Just small spaces as well. Just doesn't sound. Have you done it yet, or? Well, yes, of course you would have had, or not.
Luckily, I didn't have to.
Oh, you got away with it.
Yeah. So you go to Crickhowell on basic training, and they split you into groups, and you do things like mountain biking, climbing, hill. I think it's like hill walking, or just general mountaineering, but we were in the group that didn't do the caving, which was lucky. Some people love it. Like, it can be really good, and coasterian is like amazing, but it's, that's one thing I'm not.
Well, some people make it a whole career these days, caving. You know, you see it all the time online. And actually, if you head to, coming soon to Not Going to Uni, the team have been out doing some of that adventure training themselves to bring you what it's like. I wasn't invited on that one. I think I was too big for the caving, clearly. But that's something to look out for on Not Going to Uni. And everything you've heard as well. If you've got any more information or questions, you can check out the Not Going to Uni website and online at RAF, the website as well. I think we've got time for another one. I think it's your go again for another one. Right. You're going to have to...
Do we have another pen?
Do we have another pen? No, we don't. Is it completely, is it done?
It's all right, we can
Should we power through?
We can do this.
We'll power through. We'll do one more. Or we could do charades. Or the hand description game, as we should refer to it as. Now, I think you should do that far one on there, that one. Because that's, because I can show you that one without showing you the others. Okay, when you're ready.
You're ready.
Let's play the picture description game. Oh, and the pen is really not working for us, is it? Go for use the hands if that's easier.
Is it mountaineering? No.
Oh, you're still guessing. Use the hands. Well, there is a bit of an outline going.
A tent, camping.
Oh, how did you
really?
get that?
Yes.
How? There's nothing on that whiteboard. How did you get camping?
It was the
training works.
Yeah.
No, I personally hate camping, but I imagine this isn't quite like your family holiday camping.
No.
Did you get out this one as well? Were you able to do it?
No, this one was great. They do like kind of the camping kind of thing on basic training, and that goes along with the walking and kind of the navigation stuff, and then you camp at night. But the kind of camping gets, the more as you get into the aircrew world, you do like survival thing where you get to make your own shelters, and it's not camping at all. It's more survival
Just
training.
survival, yeah.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Amazing.
It was hard, but it's good.
I bet. I can only imagine.
I mean, it was good when you finished it.
The satisfaction, I'm sure, is pretty good. Some of the other ones that you could have had: hill walking, high ropes, marching. We had first aid, inspections. What's inspections?
Yeah, inspections is just to check that your standards are high enough. So we had a thing. You sort of got sick of the term attention to detail when you went through training, and that's mirrored in all stages of training. So right from when you arrive at Halton in phase 1, and certainly for aircrew and weapon systems operators, they'll stress the importance of attention to detail, and it's making you look for things, because in an airborne environment, when you're on an aircraft, you could be the person, when you're paying attention to your aircraft, you could find that a panel's open, which could save the lives of the crew. So it's being able to look for the little things all the time. So when you're going through training and somebody looks under a sink and says you've not put Brasso on a screw, you might have a bit of reluctance to that. But there is a point to it, and that point is it's making you look for things and raise your standards, certainly in an aircrew world. And
marching in a similar line to that as well. I've been at this RAF base for a few hours. People don't go around marching sort of here, there, and everywhere, or do they? Or should they be?
Not if I can help it. Yeah, I mean, marching's a strange one. Is you do think at the time, why am I doing this? But at the end of that, when you see it back in a video, it makes you immensely proud when you finish and you've marched as a team, and it embodies that. You working together through Halton, and that could be with 30 or 40 other people. You're all in time. You're all doing the same things at the same time, and it's impressive. And it's something that you wouldn't see from a civilian, in a civilian life, is the fact that you've been effectively drilled to march all at the same time, because you're following a system altogether.
Right. Well, and the last two were map reading and graduation, which I think are fairly self-explanatory. Look, we're pretty much nearly out of time. A final line from you both about, what to expect from basic training. Any advice that you would give somebody who is about to embark on it?
Enjoy it. Enjoy everything. It changes. So when I joined up in '98, I've done a different job more or less every 5 years. And I've been privileged to have the opportunity to do lots of different things in the Air Force. Keep an open mind, and when you see an opportunity, go for it.
Jazz?
Just absolutely make the most of anything, like any opportunity that comes up, absolutely just go for it. And yeah, as was said, keep an open mind and just have a good time.
Amazing. And get better at your drawing as well. I think that's,
yeah.
they need to add that into phase one, I think. Yeah. Look, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you taking the time. I think we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot just for what to expect in basic training. I hope you have as well. Any questions as well, do let us know. You can find more information, as I say, on the Not Going to Uni website and on the RAF website as well. We'll be back in about 30 minutes time for our final session, Life After Your Apprenticeship. So do come back and join us in about half an hour's time for that one. But thank you, Adam, Jazz, and we'll see you in about 30 minutes. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. If you want to find out more information, you can head to our website, notgoingtouni.co.uk, and we'll see you at the next RAF Live.